I was delivering a speech last night to a community group here in Vancouver about the restoration of Christ Church Cathedral and the current project that's underway, a $9 million capital project to replace the roof and build a bell spire, expand the kitchen, and so forth. The evening went pretty well. It was an amiable group, mainly non-religious folks, and at the end of it, standing around chatting, one of the participants in the evening came up and said, "So why would you be spending all this money on a church when institutional religion is in decline?" And I said, actually, I welcome that question because it seems to me that we all know about the decline of denominational religion in North America and in Europe. There was a Pew Research study that came out last year in the US that showed that across the US, attendance in churches over the last 7 years has declined 9% a year. Similar studies have been done across Canada. I think Canadian Anglicans know about the decline issues in the church generally. The one group that is actually growing are nuns, N-O-N-E-S, non-affiliated folks, non-affiliated with religious organizations. That group is in the ascendancy. Lots of people these days are identifying themselves as spiritual, not religious. Very troublingly, and I wrote this down just so I could get it accurate, in England in 2013, 41% of 18 to 24-year-olds agreed that religion is more the cause of evil in the world, and only 14% saw that it was a cause for good. So it begs the question, is there actually a social usefulness to organized and institutional religion? I believe there is. And I've started a beginning list to identify what I see as five socially useful things that organized religion at its best, Christian denominations, the Anglican Church of Canada, can provide to Canadian society. This is a beginning list, and the reason I share it isn't because I think this list is comprehensive, but to encourage people in congregations and parishes across the country to have some of these reflections themselves and add to this list, or maybe disagree with some of it. But the goal would be to say, how are we useful to the world rather than to cry in our beer about decline? So here's my beginning 5 list. First, it seems to me that churches can provide an experience of safe, inclusive community. One of my friends, a predecessor of mine at Christ Church Cathedral, Bishop Jim Cruikshank, often refers to the church as the community of the unlike-minded, not the like-minded. There's lots of places for us to meet with people just like us. But in churches, congregations, those with whom we disagree, and people from all ranges of life, young and old, rich and poor, straight and gay, women and men, can find a way to be together. And thank God that our churches have taken seriously in the last few years the importance of making communities to be safe as well, by working away at codes of conduct and ways that we can learn to be with each other, particularly in a digital age where it's really easy to get focused on our smartphones and our computers, making a very individual experience. Organized religion can provide a place for people to come together for safe, inclusive community. The second on my list has to do with beauty, cherishing the arts and culture. Music, the performing arts, the visual arts, all those things. Beauty speaks to us of the divine. The whole aesthetic world. And remember always that the word, the opposite of aesthetics is anesthetic, things that put you to sleep. Aesthetics are things that wake us up. wake us up to the beauty of creation, to the beauty of human ingenuity, to the beauty of music. And often I think, at our best, the music can draw people into the life of God, the life of the Spirit, an inclusive community, even probably way more than even the best sermon in the world. Churches, religious organizations are places that cherish beauty, the arts, and I think it's one of the ways that we're socially useful in the world. I mean, after all, where else do people get together and sing? Folks struggle through a national anthem at a sports event, maybe. But other than that, singing together, that way of being together around music, churches, religious organizations provide that. Number 3, churches can provide, religious institutions can provide places that make the world a safer place around peace through justice. And how do we do that? By really telling our foundational stories. I find it very interesting that all the great social movements of the 20th century and some into the 21st century, and I'm thinking of Gandhi and Desmond Tutu and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And Oscar Romero, take their cues from the story of Moses leading the children of Israel out of the bondage of slavery in Egypt into the promised land. That archetypal story has informed the leaders in our world who have taken strong stands for justice and for human dignity. And we tell those stories with as much imagination and creativity as we can muster, not because we're trying to resurrect something from the past, but because it has direct relevance into the real lives of people who continue to live under conditions of oppression and longing for freedom. Churches can be that kind of place. Number 4, churches can create cultures of nonviolence and compassion. I'm thinking particularly of the foundational story within the Christian message of the resurrection of Jesus. I mean, he, on his return to his disciples, after he had been betrayed by his friends and abandoned by those closest to him and cruelly executed on a cross, when he returned, his only message was one of peace and of forgiveness, breaking the cycle of violence, not participating in a world of revenge, but instead calling into being a community that regularly seeks to break cycles of violence with words of compassion and hope. And finally, and this one I've struggled to express, to figure out exactly how to express it, but here's the thought. In all of the life passages that we have, births, deaths, marriages, I've been to lots of naming ceremonies for kids in secular society, to funerals in funeral chapels, to weddings in fields. What they miss for me is connecting the great passages of our lives with the archetypal stories that come to us from our tradition. This roots our experience and helps us receive the wisdom of the ages as we walk through the celebrations and the griefs of life. I think it enhances those moments of our lives and brings a fuller, richer expression of faith. So those are just 5 that have occurred to me, gifts that I think our churches, our religious institutions can offer to the world. My hope is that you take this on too, develop your own lists, and see how we might be a greater resource to the world. And that's it from me.